Hi, just hanging out on my dock by my boat, reflecting on some wonderful times with my friend Andy Mapple. As many of you know, if you're in the water sports community, you probably already know that a dear friend and an icon in our sport, Andy Mapple, passed away on Saturday. And it's just been tough. It's been really hard for those of us who know Dina and Andy and Michael and Alyssa to fathom the pain that this family's going through. We know that Andy's okay because we know where Andy is, but we're still sad at losing his just his friendship and his presence in this world, because he was a one-of-a-kind person. God definitely broke the mold when he made Andy Mapple. You know, many people know Andy as the skier, and I'm sitting here with a picture of him, something we recognize. He was so intense, so professional, so incredible on the water. People who know him more intimately know that he was a man of honor. He was a man of integrity. He was one who helped people constantly. He was a people person, and everything was about relationships in his life, first and foremost with God, his family, and then the people in our sport. And I know until the moment he took his last breath, he was helping people. He was at the lake skiing and training people and tuning skis and preparing his company for an amazing year, moving into a new facility. He was doing all these things in preparation for what God had next for his life. So we're very sad. We rejoice in knowing where he is, but we're very heartbroken. But I think if Andy was sitting here right now, there would be something he would want to make sure people knew, and they wouldn't want him grieving over, him not being on the water anymore. He would want them to rejoice in the fact that Andy Mapple was a man of God. And I think he would want everyone to know that. I know it because I know Andy and I know Dina, and their faith was the most important thing to them. And Andy's greatest victory wasn't water skiing and trophies. His greatest victory was the day that he decided to make Jesus Christ Lord of his life. And I think if he was here, that would be the thing that he would say, is that was what was most important to him. I know during the week he had been at these Bible studies. He was committed to his faith. And I was reading something. I had done an interview years ago with Andy when I started in his wakes, and Andy was on our board, and he was instrumental in giving me the courage to step out and start that ministry. And he was talking about how God had changed his life, how Jesus had changed his life. And he says, when I used to ski, I had a terrific temper. And if you go and talk to his wife, she can tell you that when he skied, it was like skiing was everything. And if it didn't go so well, especially in training, he would get really frustrated and not so nice. And I've already seen some posts about that on Facebook this week as we've just been remembering Andy. But he says, I would say and do things before I could stop it, and I felt terrible after. He says, I found peace and control through my relationship with Jesus Christ. He grew up in England, and he went to a Christian school, at the Church of England school. And he says, I believed in God as a creator, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And he was quick to say that was the problem. He had this head knowledge of God, but not this heart knowledge. And he said, finally, I looked around and I saw all the things that I had to be thankful for the life that I had, for the family that I had. And I realized I needed to give thanks to God, and I needed to give him my life. And he said, so right there in bed, while he was laying there with his wife, Dina, he changed his life forever when he made the decision to say, God, I want your son Jesus to be Lord of my life. He says, skiing used to be God, but it's not anymore. Skiing is not my God. It is my tool to witness to people, to share about my faith. Since becoming a Christian, I've learned to prioritize, and we know Andy and we know his family, and we know that that's so true. The last several years, just watching him be all about his family and his children and his wife and his God, while he ministered to people around him through his passion of water sports. He says, I know God is always there with me, and he promises to never give me anything that I can't handle. I can still be very intense on the water, and we know Andy was very intense, but it's God's plan for me, and that's the personality that he has. And he says, but I know if I give my best, God's going to take care of the rest. He trusted the Lord. I love what Andy says at the end. He says, I have security and comfort for the future. I know that I'm in this sport to make a difference in the lives of people. And that's why Andy hung around in the sport of water skiing way past when the rest of us were retired and done and our bodies had fallen apart. It was because Andy Mapple wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And this was the tool that he used. He says, I'm blessed to be in this sport and accomplish all that he had. He says, but I want to be an example to others, not only as a sportsman, but through my life with Jesus. I know eventually skiing is going to end, but I know the Lord will be there with me in the transition to wherever I go and to whatever I do. And that couldn't be more true, because in that transition from death to life, God was with Andy. And I know there's lots of questions of how things happened, and we don't know, but what I do know is that Andy Mapple was a man of faith, and he was a family man, and he was a passionate person. And that's the man that we need to honor, and that's the man we need to thank God for, and we need to be praying for his family. And so I honor you, Andy Mapple, and I love you, and I miss you. And we will continue to use the sport and the ministries that you helped us found to make a difference in the lives of people across this world. If you want to do something, I think first and foremost is just pray for his family. Second, we're in the process of putting together a trust fund for the family. And hopefully by the weekend that'll be up. I'll just keep posted on the internet. We'll let you know. Ronnie Barton and I are working together on that, Ronnie Barton Bischoff, and we'll let you know the details of that so that you can support this family in their grieving process and just honor Andy in that way. All right, God bless you, and thank you for being such a great community that comes together in times like this.